We are ready to make some more no-sew quilted crafts. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent. We have been looking at crafts related to quilting that we can do with minimal or no sewing and still have something fun and give that quilted feel, so that we can do gifts, we can do home decor, things that we can use up scraps and bring together. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to actually do a bulletin board, but you can use this technique on all different kinds of foam type crafts. So we mentioned our wreath form last time, or even just to make a Christmas ornament out of a styrofoam ball. We talked last time about the quilted ones where we folded all the little diamonds and pinned them on. Maybe you don't want to do that. This technique would work for a quilted ornament as well. But what we're going to talk a little bit about is a bulletin board. So I raided the fabric stash at my house and then here at the office. I found all kinds of fun things. Maybe you have someone that's going off to college and you need to do a graduation gift. So what a fun thing to put up and have in a dorm room. Maybe you know someone who is having a baby. Okay, so match that theme. Here's like cowboy print, and we found a couple of coordinating things to go with that. Look at these fun little bit of cactus print, and there's even some hot pink to go along with that. You can add some turquoise and accentuate that in some way. So what I chose to go ahead and work with, I found this Elvis fabric. I know a few Elvis fans, and so I am putting this one together for a gift. And then I just kept digging until I found some, this one goes with the cowboys, but found some coordinating pieces. So I picked this green and a little bit of a teal that kind of went along with that. And of course some black, because you know, the Elvis hair, you've got to have that. And then just this nice neutral tan that matched really well with what we had to kind of bring it together and finish it off. So what we're gonna do, this is again, no sewing. We are going to basically just press our fabrics into our foam board. Okay, so a couple things I want you to think about when you get ready to get started. If you have packing foam, maybe you got a shipment and it had a nice big piece of foam in it and you're not sure what to do with that, that's something that you could use for this. I did purchase this board. It's about 1 inch thick. That's what works really well for this type of a project. It came this big of a piece. Okay, so it's 12 inches across. I cut it, rather than cut it square at 12 by 12, I cut it 12 by 14. Okay, and then you can decide which way you want it to lay. And you're gonna choose, just like we've talked about with all of our others, what type of a quilt pattern, what type of a set you want. You can do your rails, you can do a wedding ring, you can do a star, all of those fancy fun things, squares, triangles. I wanted to stick with pretty much straight lines and simple things to put in there, especially for the first one, trying to get it started and done. So I just did a simple, I have these 2 larger blocks, then a 3 to make that square, and I put a band across the middle, okay, just like when we would see a quilt with the blocks and you typically would have that band to put your strips together. Okay, I put that on there to kind of bring it all in. So I'm going to show you exactly how to put this together and make it work for you. Now, one of the things that you also might want to consider, this is just foam core, okay? It's the board like a poster board, but it has the foam in the middle, so it's a little thicker and a little stiffer. If, when you put your foam together, okay, and you cut into it and you tuck all of your stuff, you feel like, you know, it's just not really sturdy. So far, this one's holding up really well. You can cut a piece of this to go on the back just to keep it all together and keep it pretty sturdy, okay? And then add whatever type of a hanger you want. So I'm gonna set that out of the way because that's just a tip for if you need to reinforce your board. Like I said, this is actually holding up really well for the 1 inch thick and being able to do that. So then you're gonna want, once you picked your fabrics, you've got your stuff set up, you're gonna wanna lay it out to make sure that you have all the pieces you need and it looks how you want it to look, right? And there's the piece across the middle. Okay, so that's how I started out, and then I took it off and started with just the pieces I need to use. So I am actually, you can use a butter knife, you can use the end of your scissors, you can use a plastic credit card. A lot of times those leftover gift cards that you just throw away, you know, throw one of those in your craft box and have that as an item that you can use, because those plastic edges to get things down in will work as well. Now again, depending on the foam that you're using, this foam was soft enough, I did not have to score it, but you might want to take just a craft cutter, and just start on your lines so that it's easy to tuck. Okay, that's also probably going to help you have a crisper line than what some of this might. Like I said, because this was soft enough, I even pushed in some of it with my fingernails just to make it even and do what I wanted to do. Okay, so I went ahead and started with my larger piece. So take Elvis and lay him out here. Now you're gonna cut whatever design you make on here. So for instance, we said this is 12, so this is a 6x6 square in my pattern. So when I cut that, I'm gonna add an inch. So a 6x6, I'm gonna cut a 7x7. And that sounds excessive, and I thought so too, but it works perfect. And that's where I'm gonna show you, because part of what the struggle is visualizing how do we finish it, okay? Putting it together is pretty simple, right? So we're gonna take our square, and we're gonna lay it out here on the lines where we need it to be. I'm gonna make sure I have some overhang on these edges, because that's gonna be important later, and make sure I have enough to tuck. And then you're just gonna take that and push those edges, like I said, if you use the back edge of a butter knife, or if you have a gift card of some kind, or a credit card that you can use to do that. So all we're doing is poking that right down in there and making a little home for that fabric to stay and be held tight. And you just continue to do that for all of your pieces, okay? You wanna try to keep them kind of straight. Okay, part of it is, I pushed hard enough down with my pencil that it did start the groove for me. So that made it easier as well to push those down in. So I'm trying to get all my little edges down and across there, okay? So it's just tucked in, but that's gonna stay. It's gonna hold tight. We've put that into our foam. And then we're just gonna keep working our way around for that one. And then we just continue to add our next piece, okay? So that every piece goes until we filled in our whole thing. And then we have, like I said, these edges sticking off. Well, what do we do with that? Foam, it's not always great with glue, right? So that's why the tucking method is so great for this, and being able to have that quilted look across there. So the way we're gonna finish it off is we're just gonna tuck that fabric all the way around. So we're gonna tuck those edges just like we did on the front. So I left this one piece. You can figure out kind of how you need to tuck your corner. That's where, if you might want to have decorative tacks that you put every so often to make sure that it's held down and that it's tight. But we're just going to take this and we're going to go ahead and keep tucking all the way down. Until we have that line and it's tucked in, okay? But now, right, we have this foam edge that's not necessarily pretty. It won't bother some people, that's okay. That's up to you. But to finish it off the rest of the way, and I just cut, this is just a 2-inch strip of that neutral tan fabric that's gonna go right here across the middle. And now I can take it and tuck it in with my others. And I'm just gonna do a little bit, just enough for you guys to see. Okay, so that we have that across there. I pulled part of my other stuff out doing that. So you just gotta keep working it so that you have all your pieces, okay? And now I'm gonna have this nice band that I can just pull my excess over And I can either staple pin, I can use glue to put across here, and hold that down and hold it in place so that I have a nice finished edge all the way around. And then I can add whatever kind of hanger or backing. You may want it just to sit on a shelf, and that's okay. But if I did want to hang this on the wall, now you can put up those pictures of the grandkids. Again, in a dorm room, what a great place to store, put up reminders, things that are coming up. Maybe have that little calendar, but something fun that you can definitely personalize. Make a great gift, very inexpensively, save a little bit of money, use up your scraps, okay? And have something that you can show off to others, and you don't have to tell them that you didn't sew it. Okay, I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service. We have one more installment of our No-Sew Quilting Crafts. I hope you will join us.